So, what if the biggest moves in crypto aren't random at all? What if they're actually, scripted? We're about to break down a pretty wild theory from one particular source that claims XRP's latest price surge wasn't just market noise. Nope. They say it was the opening scene of a massive global financial drama. All right, let's get into it. Everything kicks off with this number, a jump of over 20% in just 1 week. Now, according to the theory we're exploring, this wasn't just a number. This was the starting gun. A move so big, so out of the blue, that it needed a much bigger explanation. So, which is it? Is this just the market doing what it does, being volatile and totally unpredictable? Or are we actually seeing the first public step of a plan that's been in the works for years? Let's unpack the clues the source lays out, and you can see what you think. First things first, we have to really get a handle on the strange event at the heart of all this. This wasn't just another price punk. This was a move that sent shockwaves through the market and had a lot of analysts scratching their heads trying to figure out what just happened. It's the mystery that the rest of this story tries to solve. Now, the first clue, at least according to this theory, isn't found in the crypto charts at all. It's actually over in the world of geopolitics. Specifically, it's all centered around Venezuela and its massive oil reserves. So here's the chain of events the source points to. It starts with these whispers of political change in Venezuela. Then, the U.S. hints that it wants to help rebuild the country's oil industry. All of a sudden, Wall Street giants like Chevron and JP Morgan start rallying, and that just unleashes this flood of capital. But the real question is, where did all that new money end up going? Right, why XRP? I mean, with all the different assets out there to choose from, why did this geopolitical domino effect seem to point right at this one digital currency? Well, the theory suggests the answer isn't with you and me, the retail traders. It's with the so-called smart money on Wall Street. And that brings us to the next layer of this whole thing. The idea is that while most of us were just watching the headlines, a much quieter, way more strategic move was being made behind the scenes by these huge institutional players. Okay, now this side is where the theory really gets juicy. In 2025, while the big institutions were actually pulling money out of Bitcoin and Ethereum, they were piling into XRP. And we're not talking about a small change here. We're talking about a 500% surge in institutional money flowing into XRP products. Let's just put a number on that for a second. $3.7 billion. That's not just a little pat on the back. That's a tidal wave of institutional capital. It suggests that the world's biggest financial players had already picked their horse for the next big race. And this quote from the source material just sums it up perfectly. Traditional finance has chosen its protagonist. The argument here is that these fund flows aren't just a trend. They're proof that a decision has already been made. But hold on, this isn't just an American story. The next piece of this puzzle takes us all the way over to Japan, where an entire nation is allegedly redesigning its financial system with XRP right at the center of it. And the evidence they point to is pretty compelling. You've got major banks like Mizuho and SMBC jumping on board with the XRP Ledger. The government is talking about slashing crypto taxes from 55% down to 20%. And then you have the launch of XRP-backed ETFs. This is not just dipping a toe in the water. This is a full-on cannonball. So the theory goes that Japan sees the XRP ledger as the foundation, the bedrock for a whole new financial infrastructure. By making themselves the most crypto-friendly place on the planet, they're basically trying to attract this massive flood of global capital and reboot their economy. So if you're a big institution, or hey, even a whole country, and you're about to bet billions on a new system, you need one thing more than anything else: stability. And this brings us to the core mechanism that, according to this theory, gives Ripple that critical element of control. This is Ripple's escrow system. The easiest way to think about it is like a giant time-locked vault of XRP that automatically releases a set amount every single month. It's all about creating a transparent, predictable supply schedule, which is basically music to the ears of these big institutional investors. The whole process is super simple and out in the open. 1 billion XRP gets unlocked. Ripple uses what it needs for things like partnerships and growing the network. And then, this is the important part, whatever's left over gets locked right back up in a new escrow for the future. It's a clean, predictable cycle designed to build trust for the long haul. I mean, think about it. For an institution looking to drop billions of dollars, this system is a total game changer. It gets rid of a huge question mark.
They know exactly what the supply is going to look like month after month, and that level of transparency is just incredibly rare in the crypto world.
And the scale of this control is just mind-boggling. We're talking about over 34 times billion XRP still locked away in this system. This really hammers home the idea that there's a steady hand on the wheel, someone who can steer the ship for years and years to come.
Okay, let's tie all these different threads together. We've got the geopolitical stuff, the big institutional buy-in, Japan's national strategy, and this supply control mechanism. The final piece of the theory is a technical chart pattern that supposedly maps out the entire endgame. The source identifies this pattern as a classic Wyckoff reaccumulation. That long, boring, sideways price action, that was phase A, where the smart money was quietly buying up everything they could. That sharp price drop we saw, that was the spring, a classic move to shake out the last of the nervous sellers. And the recent price surge? Well, that signals the start of phase C, the breakout, the beginning of the real show. This quote just nails the whole feeling behind the technical argument. The boring sideways movement and fear was all part of the preparation for this great escape. It completely reframes months of frustrating price action as a necessary part of the plan, a quiet prep time before the big storm hits. So where is this great escape headed? The theory points to a single, really bold price target that it derives from this chart pattern: $8. That's the endgame, the big finale that this multi-year global strategy has supposedly been building towards. So there you have it. Is it a meticulously designed blueprint for a new financial world, or just a really compelling market fantasy? We've laid out all the evidence from this one source, and now it's up to you to decide if you think this map actually leads to treasure.